guys, welcome to my YouTube. If you clicked on this because I directed you from Instagram, thank you for taking your time. I really appreciate you and I am thankful for you. Nandri Vanakkam. In today's video, I will be talking about why I literally chose to work in Singapore, which was pretty much accidental but in a good way. And also I will be doing my daily makeup routine. I just got out of the shower. I have like this fresh face and I'm gonna do my skincare and my makeup. It's not gonna be like in-depth. I'll just like while I'm like storying you. First, I'm putting on my, you know what I'm talking about. This was in my previous video. If you don't know, that means you never watched my previous video. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? If you haven't, like, I can wait. You know, I can just pause this video and go back. No, I'm just kidding. Someone in question Q&A asked me why I chose Singapore and why not Malaysia. I have decided to move to Singapore especially because of the currency difference. I'm getting paid 3 times more here for the same amount of work I do back in Malaysia. The first day I moved here, it was so much more difficult to like adjust, especially because I couldn't find the right place to live, and you know, the rental was pretty high, and because it's my first job after graduation, my pay wasn't that high, so there wasn't any suitable place to live in. I knew my pay was gradually going to increase, but it took a lot of time. So after I settled down here, slowly I realized, you know, Singapore was actually what I wanted. Is that I felt really safe here. Back in the days, back in my place, I had a lot of safety issues in that matter. Like, people think that I'm easy to get, so they would follow me to my house. I have countable times that I actually started running in the streets, being chased by guys in a motorbike.
Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out, I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus.
I'm not saying this because I feel like I'm a very pretty girl. No, they do that to every other girl, but a lot of times I was alone, so people think it was easy to get to me, so they try to like ram and chase me. In here in Singapore, there's not many people who really care about my existence. They don't think it's weird for a girl to just go for a run by herself.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And I can just go around jogging at any time, anyhow I want. I can just go for my run at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, anytime, like 5 AM. I still feel safe. I swear, 5 AM feels like still at night, there's no sun. Being outside by yourself, like even after work when you come back by yourself, it still feels safe, especially like in residential area. But if you're like out in like Clarke Quay, you will have like drunkards around there, so it's not really safe, I think. A lot of them say people in Singapore are not friendly, they just mind their own business and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. I think the only bad experience I've had is when people were being racist. They didn't want me to rent their place because I was Indian. That's the only bad experience, because that person didn't mention that they don't want Indian people. But by the time I reached there, it took me an hour to get to that place, and by the time I could like get to their house, they figured that I was Indian and they just like cut me off. They said, oh no, we've already given that house to somebody else. So I had to like make another trip back home, another hour. So it was just annoying. One of the experience which actually touched my heart was last year. I was going through some things and I was heavily hurt. So I would cry every single night, every single day. And one time I was at work and then I was walking from workplace to MRT, and then it started raining. Everybody had umbrella, everybody like put out their umbrella and they were just walking. I was just so frustrated and sad deep inside that I didn't bother it was raining. I was just like walking and I didn't care if I was getting wet.
Music director.
And you know, this lady, she came up to me and without asking anything, you know, she just like covered me with her umbrella. I was just like concerned, caring. So I was like, hey, thank you. And then I started crying. I think I'm gonna cry now. I felt so touched. And it wasn't even a big deal, right? Like, you might think that it is not a big deal, it's just an umbrella, like anybody can get the umbrella, like. But usually that's not the case. People are not really that friendly. And also, you guys, oh my god, this is a big thing. In Malaysia, I used to drive a car. It's a lot to spend on just having a car. especially because you have insurance to pay for, especially road tax and also like petrol and stuff like that. Here you don't really need a car. There's literally people who have car only to drive in the weekends. Oh my god, can you believe that? I've never heard of it. I've never heard of anything like that, you guys. It's just crazy to, you know, people literally have a weekend car because they have efficient, sufficient transportation, oh my god, I literally just rhymed. When I take a train to go to a certain place, it's a lot more faster than getting a cab or like getting a Grab. Less time consumed, less money consumed, lower carbon emission. It's just environmentally friendly, and I really like it. You know, genuinely, I think I've said this in my Instagram before, I love bus rides, especially because I feel like I'm in a box, more space around me, bigger windows to look outside, and the sound that bus makes, like, you know, the machine sound that the bus makes, the motor sound, whatever that sound, that it just makes me feel safe and cozy for some reason. I love bus rides since when I was young. I don't know why. Some people may think it's weird. I love car rides too. You know, I can't survive without car. Maybe because I'm seeing all the positive sides for everything, so everything just feels okay. I don't mind it, you know. At the time being, because I live alone and I don't have like another person that's tagging along with me, I don't have to like watch out for them. If it's a child, like if you have a family, I think it's best to have a car. But because I live here alone, single, so it's okay, a car, because you just need to bring yourself to a certain place. So I've had like a lot of bad experiences with safety matters in Malaysia, especially like I was being robbed many times. I was spanked while I was walking back home. I was chased by many motorcyclists, and it triggered a lot of bad memories for me lah. So here I don't get that. I'm just like another living being around without feeling like me being somewhere feels like a threat. I have like a story to share to you guys. When I was like 15 years old, my dad was like working outstation. Also my brothers were in KL. They were having like colleges, and the only two person that was in the house with these two ladies, me and my mom. And you know, my house is like welcome for everybody. You know, people who couldn't afford to like go to get grocery stuff, they would always come to our house and buy groceries from us. So we were kind of like this open house concept, so-called. So constantly having people, visitors coming to our house. So one of these days one weekend my father came back, and then we spent the weekend, and then the day he was about to leave, I was eating some chips and watching TV. It was heavily raining outside. There was a bike that came from our house. It parked, and this guy came in with a raincoat, fully covered with helmets, and he was just walking in, and I called my dad, "Daddy, your friend is here." I thought it was my dad's friend. So when I called my dad, by the time my dad arrived, I could see this person who was coming towards me inside the door. He walked straight in, kind of panicking probably. He never removed his shoe. He's wet, and he's just walking in with the wet shoes and wet raincoat, and he never took off his helmet, and his face was covered with handkerchief. When he's like slightly walking past me, I saw this huge knife. It's not a knife, it's like samurai knife kind of a thing. He was holding it in the back like that, and the moment I saw that, I was like, what? And I turned back, my dad arrived. Slowly my mom came, and by the time I thought of like running out to get help, there was 5 other people walking one after another with big huge knives. Oh my god, like this was huge, because I saw my parents like almost dropping onto their knees, and like just wanting to get out of their life. Things like this, you don't have time to process and think and what to do next. You know, you're not really ready for this. What if I ran outside to get help, and by that time things could go terribly wrong? Because it was raining, not many people were outside. People were all inside, you know, having their tea time. Like they were just inside, like being with their family. And these guys started to like order us to move positions so that we don't expose them. They started to ask my dad for money. Like we were being robbed at knife point. I saw my parents with a knife on their neck. It wasn't like a knife, sword that could actually just like, then you die, you know, that kind of. I don't know what was going on in my mind. I was so angry. Kind of words they used to my dad. Of course, these guys are not gonna give like a speech, ask you respectfully, give me money. No, of course they were like so rude, and it was just so triggering to me. I was so angry, I couldn't do anything. And then he came to my mom and he asked for her thali. Thali is like a very precious thing for every Indian woman, symbol that she's married, a symbol that her husband is still alive. So he was constantly asking for my mom's thali because they are made out of gold. So she was begging and begging that she wouldn't want to give it. Put the knife at my mom's thali and he was like kind of lifting the thali with the knife. And I told my mom out loud, I was like, Ma, just take it off and give that stupid fella. My dad was like, Parmes, no. And then only he realized I called him stupid. So he went, what? Stupid? I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but this is exactly what happened. It was kind of crazy. And then after a while, he kind of asked me to stand up and get to the room. My dad got freaked out. He thought I was gonna raped or something. And my dad said, Ayah, please don't do this. Ayah means like, son, don't do this. Like, don't want to like hurt your own people. I kind of freaked out too because at that point, a lot of families were being robbed. A lot of things were happening in the society, but we didn't expect it to come to our place. You know, we didn't expect this thing to happen in our life. He told us like move inside the room. We shifted to a room. I think they want to freely go around the house maybe. And they closed the door. And my mom, you know what? My mom went and asked my dad, oh my god, did they take everything? Nalla vela unga phone edukala. Guess what happened next? If you guessed that they came back inside the room and asked for the phone, you guessed it right. I don't know why my mom would do that. It was so funny, you guys, but that time it wasn't funny. And then this guy came into my room and he was like checking all the jewelries that I had. Like I had like artificial jewelries, you know, we'd wear like with our Punjabi shoes and go out, right? So he was like just tossing and picking out stuff to see which is like real gold, you know. And then he asked, where is your phone? He asked me, oh phone enga? And I told him, I don't have a phone. Oh, unga appa unakku phone vaangi tharaleya? I said no, he didn't. He went outside. You know, I was like a sneaky teenager. I still had like a boyfriend back then. I always had my phone in silent and under my pillow. If my phone buzzed with any messages, that guy would have like picked it out, but lucky he didn't. That was the phone that we used at the end of the day to call the police. They were not able to like pick out anything expensive from us because there was nothing expensive with us to begin with. So jokes on you, robbers, jokes on you. Since that happened, anywhere and everywhere I go, I would like literally freak out if there's anybody that's behind me or like coming in front of me. I became like a scaredy cat since. I don't know how to overcome that. Before that I was like a bad bitch, I was like a badass and I can take on anybody, like I was ready to fight kind of a person. But ever after I realized like these things can really endanger people's life. As if these things were not scary enough for us. Like there were just a lot of people coming to us and telling us about stories how robbers break into people's house and then they kill the person. Later to find out they were actually looking for a different person but they killed the wrong person. People weren't aware how telling us more horrifying stories are not gonna help us. Yeah. If you're wondering what I use for my eyes, this is some kind of a kajal that every Indian shops they have. And just because it's a cheap stuff doesn't mean it doesn't work. It is cheap because it is locally found and people use this as a traditional makeup in India or anywhere around Malaysia. This expensive makeup you find, it doesn't mean that it has like a good quality, you know. Sometimes they are just expensive because they are being transported from overseas and by the time they reach our country, like it's all being taxed and you know you have to pay extra, especially because it was being transported from overseas. So you're not only paying for the product but you're also paying for all that whole business that went through in between, right? So these things you can just get it, and yeah, sometimes they are greasy, but you can also like put on some eyeshadow or any powder that is in the same color to like mattify it, and it works. That's the thing lah. And another thing about Singapore is that you know you can go anywhere and most of the places are like clean. So far I think I might just settle down in Singapore or I might just move to a different country because I think we can. Why not, right? We're not treated to like just grow in one place. Like if you can move, you move. The world is too small to contain us human beings from moving. But now don't try to go anywhere because we're all quarantined, coronavirus. So I don't know how it's going to be like after this. For the time being, I'm okay. I do miss my parents. I miss the food that my mom makes in the morning, and the food in Malaysia is like literally the best. You cannot. I love coffee, and can you imagine like there's no good kopi peng in Singapore, but of course the Starbucks here feels a lot cheaper because you know the exchange rate is like, you know, it's just $7. Like if you go to Malaysia, it's like 14 ringgit. If you're earning like Malaysia, whatever you earn, 14 ringgit for a drink is a lot. But whatever you earn in Singapore, $7 for a drink is just normal. Then I realized one thing, right? Singaporeans are very like health concerned and they don't like to take a lot of sugar and stuff like that. That's when I realized, oh, the kopi peng that I was having in Malaysia contained a lot more sugar than the kopi peng in Singapore, because they control the amount of sugar you take. And you know, in every normal shops that you go for makan, even if it's like a Chinese store, like a mama store, there's no mama store anyway, coffee shop or any food store, like food court, you know, they have like grades for every stall. And also they have like food options. You also have like the sign, if it's a healthy choice, they have like the sign for it. So you can always go to any mama store or any shops and you can still like, you have a choice to pick out the healthier meal to eat. So that is pretty cool. It's a better, higher quality to live in lah. I know sometimes it may feel like restricting to be here in Singapore for some people. That is because you've never lived in a dangerous environment. If you can freely do dangerous things, remember that you're also surrounded by dangerous things. People can attack you and get away with it with just... Literally, Singapore is so small. You can run, but you can't hide if you committed a crime. So that is another thing. Someone do you wrong, bitch better have my money. Just because you feel safe and all that, you don't take things for granted for your safety precautions, all that. You don't take it lightly. You still like take care of your belongings and be extra careful, simply because, you know, we're all humans and things happen, and it's just that it's less frequently here and the probability is lower here. But the basic need for a human being is being given priority lah. Also, this is my hair after I wash it. It's kind of dry and like very fluffy. What I like to do is put some castor oil at the ends of it, because do you see how it's like so bushy like a broomstick? So if I put this, it's kind of like together, and I only apply it on the tips of my hair. I don't go like in here all, because it's just oil. They don't really do anything. They just sit on the surface. They don't like penetrate your skin or anything. Have like build up, and you will have like your natural oil like coming out in like few days, because you don't wash your hair every single day. I don't wash my hair every single day. The castor oil I'm using is the Navaratna castor oil. This one I got from Little India. You cannot find castor oil anywhere else, so I got the one from Little India and I put it in a little container like this, which I think it's really cute. This is like a container that I got for like a random serum. Threw out the serum just to use the container and put my oil in here. And because you can really control the amount you want to take, and you can just like dip it in. 1, 2. So it doesn't really get oily, it doesn't get messy when you're like taking out the oil. And it is also a lot more presentable compared to the original container. It's not nice lah. It's stuck cute lah. What I like to do is just take 1 or 2 drops like that, rub it in my hand, make it warm, and just lightly go on top. You know, you'll have like hair flying, like flyover hair, I don't know what they call it. Kind of like just hold it together in place. You have like a lot more control for the amount that you want to apply to a certain area like that. You see how these parts of my baby hair is kind of like all over, so I can just like do like that a little bit to stay tamed. You do this, you have like all the hair sticking out like this, right? All the hair ends will like gather that, and then you can just like do that. I always get this healthy looking hair with the trick that I use with my oil. So that's the story about why I kind of chose Singapore. There's a lot of freedom for me to grow, and this is actually where I started like being a lot more creative. I cut down a lot of toxic things and people around me. I finally get to like do things on my own, and I could actually literally support myself and my family. Great place to start, especially if you're a young lady. And of course, safety is equivalent to freedom, in my opinion. And I don't think the law in Singapore is against basic human rights, you know, so it is still fine. I don't know why some people still think it's so difficult to live here. Unless if you're like doing something sneaky, then of course it is kind of difficult to live here. I use this so less here. I don't encounter many cockroaches in my life here, and even if I did, they're kind of funny looking, you know, they're like small. I think also because of the new development. I think I'm living in a new estate, so-called, so they don't really have much pests going around in here. You don't see a lot of like stray animals being abandoned like that, you know, like every animal has shelter or like being taken care of. You don't randomly bump into like animals being abused or stuff like that. Lesser lah. I think it's also because like Singapore is smaller and it is easier to control. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in today's video. I really enjoyed just sitting down here talking to you while doing my basic makeup. Yeah, I had no foundation on, just a little bit of eye makeup done, also brows, lipstick, just like very lightly. I'll try and make more videos on the questions that you guys asked me the other day. If I just made videos with my own ideas, sometimes it will turn out to be like shorts and like nobody even asked for this girl, nobody wanted to know. So I try to make stuff that are more relatable to you guys on the questions that you guys asked me. So thank you very much for watching. Love you guys. Catch you in the next video. Mwah.